Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. What I want to do first of all is welcome you to the webinar. Just want to make sure that you can hear me speaking and you can see the screen okay. So if you could put a yes please in the question box. I'm seeing yeses already, wonderful. And I'm just going to move my mouse around and see if you can see it when I can drag it over. So hopefully everybody's getting good sound, which is great. So welcome, we're Prosperative. You can see the 5 of us there, 2 coders, a sport person, me and Josh. We want to show you something today which we think will blow your mind. We really do, I promise you. And the big promise we're going to give you, let me tell you what we're going to share with you today. And in about 3 to 5 minutes, we'll actually get into it and show you. The big promise we're going to make you, first of all, we're going to talk about a secret that is hidden in plain sight and has been for a long time. The fact it's hidden in plain sight means many people overlook it. We're also going to talk about easy rankings. And when I say easy rankings, John will actually demo the tool for you, but the rankings that you can get, it's ridiculous. It really is. You can probably tell from my voice I'm excited. I just want to share with you something. I'm really ill. I've got what I think is a broken wrist, but I wanted to be on this webinar because I'm excited about this tool. It's simple, it's easy to use, and the results you can get are fantastic. So I'm here because of that excitement. The other thing we're going to show you is the tool itself. Promise you, it couldn't be simpler. It could not be simpler. That thing about the easy rankings, well, there's also, to do with that, is a link building strategy, which Josh wants to talk about. That's really simple to do as well. We're talking simplicity. You do not need to be an expert for any of this. And of course, we're going to make you a nice offer, and there'll be a deal that you can't really kind of miss. Before we get started properly with John and Josh, let me just say something. This secret we've talked about, it's not like a spy secret, you know, FBI, CIA. It's really just something. We kind of stumbled on this when we were looking for some other things. We found a kind of an open door. And we did some research, John did some research. We found a technique that worked, and man, we took advantage of it. Well, we've taken advantage of it, and now we've got a tool that it's going to allow you to unlock the benefits yourself, okay? So we're talking about getting onto page 1, good rankings for worthwhile keywords. But look, let me just explain something. To be on page 1, you're going to have to beat somebody else's website, right? But a problem that we've identified, because people tell us this regularly, is that they're scared because they're taking on big guys who've got more resources, maybe better content, millions of links, all that kind of thing. And the assumption is that these big bullies are hard to beat. Well, there's a solution, and we're going to show you. The solution really is you pick on the weak kid. Now, I'm using that as a metaphor. It's a bit, you know, we're smiling while we say it. We don't really mean pick on somebody. We're talking about finding the weakest link on page 1 and then replacing that website because, you know, Google doesn't really care who you are. If you're giving them what they need so they can make money, they're happy for you to be on page 1. If a different website comes along and gives them more of what they want, goodbye to you. Well, the same applies to your competition. So, how do you find the weak kid? Well, I'm glad you've asked, because John's going to show you, and he's going to be using this on a Mac, but it's Mac and Windows compatible. So whatever system you've got, don't worry, you're good to go. Now, I'm just going to make sure that John and Josh have their microphones unmuted. Are you there, guys?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Hi, so you've heard the introduction, and now that we've told people the big promise, what I'd like to do is make John the presenter, if you're ready, John. And
Yep.
then he's going to show you the demo of the tool. And when I said it was simple, just wait till you see what John can do with this. He's going to make it sing for you. You can tell we're excited about this. All the people who've already bought it are excited about this. We've had some great feedback already. Let's just make John the presenter. And as soon as he switches screens, you'll see why we are so excited, and so are all the people who've bought this already.
All right. So before I run through 3 strategies that I use Rank Sniper to find really impressive keywords, the first thing I want to say is almost everybody makes it sound a lot harder than it actually is. And to be fair, it's in the interest of people who do search engine optimization for a living to make it sound like it's more difficult than it is. So a lot of the people that you read that are the quote experts and a lot of the tools that you see, they throw everything in the kitchen sink into the analysis of how difficult it is to rank for a set of keywords. And that's just not the case. To date, just like when Google started, 90% of what Google looks at is who links to your site. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit as I go through. So what we really need to look for when you look at a set of keywords in the search results for the keywords is who has the least number of referring domains. And what that means is separate sites linking to their own site. It's not nearly as important how many links you have if those links, if there's a bunch of links on one site to your site, Google's just going to count the link that's is the best fit for the keywords. So what we're going to look at primarily is this column, the referring domains, and Rank Sniper is going to show us which result is the weakest result in the search results for a given set of keywords. Now let me demonstrate what we were doing. So Josh and I were going back and forth. This was on Monday. We're like, well, let's find some great keywords to show everybody so they can see how the tool works. And within an hour, we both had lists of very impressive keywords. And we were going back and forth with each other in the email saying, man, look at this. I can't believe we could rank for this so easily. But that's what Rank Sniper does. It helps you find that. And one example is play dominoes online. So let's analyze that. It's very simple. You put the keywords in the box and you hit analyze. Oh, let me, can you take the screen for just a second? Because I have to put my license in.
1 second, John. I just need to click, so bear with me.
Okay. Just for a second.
Yeah, so.
It's gone.
Okay, right. So yeah, that's cool. So by the way, while John's doing that, obviously we're not going to show you license keys. But,
yeah.
You're looking at the actual page now where you'll be able to get hold of this. We normally show you later on in the webinar where you can get it. But if you wanted to get it right now, it's ranksniper.com. You don't have to put the ordering bit here. If you wanted, we'll just go there for you automatically. And you can see we're getting people buy this regularly. There's a video on there which some of you might have seen, tells you a little bit about it, and then there's a button here where you can choose the options. This is what it looks like. One thing I would say about what John's just told you, the things he's told you, if you're a beginner, can sound complex, but the software does it for you. It packages up all that information, and it kind of just says, here's what you need to know. So you don't need to understand how it gets to the result. It just tells you the result. You know, when you use a calculator, if you do a complex sum, it just tells you the result. You don't necessarily have to be able to do that calculation yourself. Rank Sniper is like a super calculator for search engine domination. So we you know, it's something that has the power and the brains hidden so that you don't have to have that same kind of work when you get to it. Let me know when you're ready, John.
I'm all set. You just pass it back.
Cool. Let me just find the button. There we go. It just takes a couple of seconds, by the way. So there we go. So that should be coming over to John in a moment or two.
All right, I got it. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it again, yeah.
All right, so one of the keywords that we found on Monday was play dominoes online. So we'll analyze that, and it'll get all the backlink data and immediately tell us this is the weakest kid on the block. And if you hover over it, it shows you the full URL that's ranking. In the domain column, it only shows you the domain name, which often it is only the domain name that's ranking, but sometimes, like with this one, you can see it's not just the domain. So this site, onlinedominogames.com, has only 31 other sites linking to it, and yet it's ranking number 6. And look at all the others. So number 2 is really weak too. If you look at that one, this only got 68, yet it's number 2. Number 1 is 413. Number 3 is 10,000. So you don't have to have the huge numbers that some of these domains have in order to rank. But the strategy here is once you find one of those keywords, don't assume that the keyword you found is the best one to target. You can click on the domain name and that'll pull up some extra details about the domain. It gives you all of those numbers that we already saw, plus some extras. And you can click Load Extended Data, which will also give you additional information that includes other keywords that the domain is ranking for. Now look, the one
Are you showing that window, John? Because we're only seeing the main window at the moment.
Oh, okay. I guess I have to
Got
show.
monitors on. Yeah. If you're sharing the specific window, you have to change which you're sharing.
Okay, all right, I see how to do that. So here we go.
Yeah.
When I clicked on the domain, this is what popped up, and I clicked the Load Extended Data button, and then it loaded all the other, the top 40 rankings for this particular domain. And the keywords that we found on Monday, it's only getting 2,900 searches a month on Google. But this same domain is also ranking for a set of keywords that's getting 40,000 searches a month on Google.
Yeah.
So 14 times almost more traffic in the domain for the same number of links is ranking for that too, and a bunch of others that are better than the one I found. So once you see the weakest kid on the block, look at the domain details and see if that domain, that weak domain, is ranking for even better keywords that you can be targeting. And just as an example, if I load up that one, the Domino's Game Free, and analyze that.
And that will be another window again, remember, you'll have to.
Right, yeah.
So while that window switches, that's an interesting thing that you're mentioning there, John, because you just need to, there we go, because it means that even if you start out with something that isn't really the best keyword of all, you're going to be giving some more information within the extended data that can help you narrow down and find this real, what we call the low-hanging fruit.
Yep, that's right. So you do a search, you find a great set of keywords, then you click on the domain name, and you load the other keywords that that domain's ranking for, and you can find a lot more and often much better keywords than even the one you found.
Yeah.
And Rank Sniper makes that really easy to do. So that's the first strategy that I use when looking for keywords that I want to try to target.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Before you get to the second strategy, I just want to make one point real quick. The referring domains number there, that's not actually the number of links. When you look at the details, you see the breakdown of do follow and no follow.
You cut out for a second, Josh, so I didn't hear what you said.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Am I clear? Yeah.
It seems to be fading in and out slightly, Josh. Josh was asking about the referring domains and explained that it's not the actual number of links. So the referring domains could be a relatively small number, but the number of actual total links could be massive. And yes. I think he was probably asking, well, how can that be? Because people may not be sure. And
well,
why does it matter?
The reason why that is because each domain, or at least some of the domains, are linking to this site more than once. Like they might have a link to this site on a bunch of different pages of their site. So the total number of links is higher, but it's only coming from 31 separate domains or separate websites.
So really if I understand this right, well, of course I understand it, but if I put myself in the shoes of somebody who is a beginner and doesn't understand SEO completely, really the thing that counts is this referring domains.
Yes.
And where the numbers are low like this, that means I've got a good shot at replacing that website on page one. I don't need to worry too much about these big numbers down the middle.
No, you can ignore the really big numbers, especially the ones that are below the site that's ranking, and you don't have to pay much attention to the big numbers that might appear on the right side. The trust score matters a little bit because it just means how well trusted the site is. But what really, really matters is what's this number right here? How many referring domains are there? And how strong are the links from those domains, which you can find out by clicking on the number of referring domains. And I'll remember to switch the window here.
Yep.
And I can load, I'll go ahead and just do 100. Now keep in mind that if there's not 100 referring domains, you're not going to get charged for loading 100 domains from the credits. It's only going to charge you 1 credit per domain that it actually retrieves, and it's only going to charge you that if someone else hasn't already done that search.
So just slow down there, John. So when you're talking about it's only going to charge me if somebody else hasn't done this, that could be me as well, so I'm not getting charged twice. So there's a kind of a caching going on?
Yes, it saves the results on the server, on our server. So if someone else or you have already done that search in the last 7 days and you go back and do the search again, you're not going to get charged again. So we conserve your credits as much as possible. And it's granular, so you only get charged 1 credit per domain it actually pulls. So if you say I want 100, but it only finds 30, you're only going to get charged 30. You're not going to get charged 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see the trust score of the domains that are linking to the online domino game. It has a few that are pretty good, but only about a dozen of them, not even a dozen. Anything under 20 is pretty weak. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 domains that are linking to online domino game that are actually fairly strong domains, but everything else is very weak. So yeah, it's got 31 domains. And again, let me switch back to Rank Sniper. It's got 31 links, but only 11 of those are actually very strong. And it's not hard to get 11 solid links like that. So I bet you could beat this ranking with less than 31 links. In fact, it's been my experience that if you focus on getting higher quality links, and we'll talk about how to do that in a little bit, you can outrank the sites on page 1, usually with half or less of the link numbers that they show. And I've had some examples where I got rankings with 1/10 of the number of links that are shown on the search results. So it really just depends on how strong the links are. But in this case, this is a very weak result and would not be difficult to beat with just a little bit of legwork to get the links you need into a site that you own.
Let me take a second there, John, because what you've just told us is, first of all, that we're identifying a weak kid on the block. That's great. He's in green here, so that sort of makes it stand out. Secondly, that we can see the quality of his network of links. If that quality is very high, I know I don't have to waste any time on that one because I may not be able to do anything. But if, as we've seen with that one, which is very often the case, his links are from neighborhoods that aren't that brilliant, in other words, low quality websites, low trust scores and so on. This means this guy's ripe for kicking off number 5. And the information that Rank Sniper analyzes for me makes it possible for me to look at a glance and see just how hard a job this is going to be or how easy it's going to be.
Yes, and like I said, you don't have to dig into those details. You can just let Rank Sniper tell you onlinedominogames.com is the weakest, and at most you're only going to need 31 solid links to be able to beat it. That's really all you need to know. But if you're interested in the details, Rank Sniper will give you the details. And one other detail it'll give you, that if you're someone who likes to dig into the weeds just a little bit, is you can click on the total links count. Let me do that and load that backlinks. And you can get not just the referring domains, but the individual backlinks as well. Let me see. The way GoToWebinar works, it moves things around on me.
Yeah, this is really powerful. Hey guys, can you hear me now? Is my audio working okay?
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do...
I switched mics. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you still kind of cut in and out a little bit. Let me load the top 100 backlinks, because you can get up to the top 100 just to demonstrate something for onlinedominogames.com. Notice that some of the sites that link to it the links they're no follow. If they're red, they're no follow. That means that Google will not count those links. So some of the best links that Online Domino Games has, some of the strongest sites that link to it, they're no follow links. So Google's not even counting those. And that means it's going to be even easier than you might think by looking at the Rank Sniper main window. It's going to be even easier than that to be able to rank, because some of its best referring domains are no follow, and Google does not count no follow links.
Can I just say something here, John, because that's quite sort of technical for a lot of people. The thing that John has just shown you is a ton of analysis done by the system for you. If you were to do this manually, which you can, it would take you easily per domain an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. With this, it's a couple of clicks and you can see instantly, you know, like the red there that John was talking about shows you they don't really count. And that's actually why we can say with confidence that you can find keywords that you can rank for, because the people who are already ranking aren't doing a spectacular job. They're just a bit lucky. They're not doing something wonderful and clever that you can't do. They just got lucky because that particular keyword maybe doesn't have a great deal of quality content, or the linking strategy for the top sites isn't brilliant. So there's no reason you can't enjoy that same advantage once you've seen them on here. And of course, you can have a look at the website itself if you wanted to analyze what they've done, what kind of content. Is it text? Is it audio? Is it video? And then you can replicate the same kind of strategies. When I say replicate, I don't mean copy their content. No, we don't do that. I mean analyze what they've done by looking at their website. Is that fair, John?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. So that's the first strategy. The simple strategy is, once you find a good set of keywords, you go through a number of keywords, you find one that looks weak for a solid number of searches with a decent cost per click. You click on that domain name, you see what else it's ranking for, and you see if it's ranking for a lot of other keywords, and if some of those are even better than the one you found, which is very often the case. So that's strategy number one. The second strategy, it comes once you find a site like this and you find a great set of keywords that you want to target, because it's been my experience that if there's one set of keywords in that market, or a few sets of keywords in that market that are pretty weak, that have a real weak kid on the block like this one does, there's usually others too in that market. It's not usually just a one-off thing, because there's just some markets that are more saturated than others. And once you find one that isn't, you have a big opportunity to dig into other keywords. So for example, whenever Josh and I were talking about this, I found one, Hearts card game, because I was thinking about games. Dominoes came up. I'm like, well, let me look up some card games. And I looked up Hearts card games. And Hearts, look at the number 2 result. First of all, it's only got 26 referring domains, 90,000 searches a month, very solid cost per click. And yet it ranks number 2 for this amazing set of keywords. Well, when I found that one, I thought, well, if that one's that easy, maybe there are other card games that I could look up and rank for. And that's where the keyword suggestion tool comes in. This button right here, suggest, I'll click that and then I'll change my window to go to it. Let's see. I lost my window that lets me select what I'm showing.
It's normally in the right-hand side. There's like a control panel.
I see the little window, but I don't see the drop down. That lets me pick which window to show.
That's unusual. I'm not sure why. If need be, I can launch Rank Sniper and do the Hearts card game if you want me to.
Can you see, what are you looking at right now?
I'm just seeing the main window of Rank Sniper. You haven't got it paused, have you?
No, I do not.
No.
Yeah, it's not. People can see your screen. Click to stop sharing, but it doesn't let me choose which part of the screen can be seen.
Yeah, normally on the drop, is the drop down not available at all?
It is not available at all.
Well, if you give me a second, I'm going to launch Rank Sniper, and then I can, if necessary, I can do this for you. I'm just going to update while I'm doing that, because I've got the latest here. By the way, if we can just talk about the update, because that's quite interesting. Since we prepared for the webinar and sent out the email earlier today, John's added 2 or 3 new features, which we haven't even had time to put on the help video. So there's going to be some others, but I mean, the features that he's added add to the power. You don't have to use all the power that's here. You can just use the simple stuff. While I'm downloading this, John, we've got a couple of questions. If you could,
I found it, Eamon.
You got it. Okay.
GoToWebinar has changed since the last time I was a presenter,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm not used to it. Okay, so
I can see.
I pull up the keyword suggestion box and then I search for card games. And I did this earlier this morning. I did all of this stuff this morning after Josh and I found some keywords on Monday. This morning, I started putting some notes together to show to you guys. And I looked up the card game again, and so I searched for card games in the suggestions. And well, sure enough, there's card games, which you can see that gets a whole lot, but I like to go a little more specific. So solitaire card games, 200,000 searches a month. That's a lot. So I figured I'd give that one a try. So I double click this and it'll automatically put it into the keyword box of the main screen.
Yeah.
Here, and then I'll analyze that. And look what it finds. It finds 247solitaire.com as the weakest kid, which has 479 referring domains. And you might think, well, that sounds a little high. That might be a little hard, but don't give up yet. Let's see what else this weakest kid is ranking for. Again, by clicking on the domain.
John, before you do that, can I? Oh, okay, you've done.
Yeah, go ahead here. Say what you got to say.
So now, can I just say something to everybody here? John, we keep using the term weakest kid on the block. However, many times there may be multiple weak kids on the block. We're just highlighting the weakest one, which in this case is position 5. But number 2, solitaire.com, they have 686 referring domains, which may not be that difficult to beat. Surprisingly. Number 7, 247games.org, has 617. That may not be a great deal better. There are 3 potential weak kids on the block just on this one example. So although we use the term the weakest kid on the block, you may have multiple opportunities to get onto page 1 for the sites that you can see here. And what John is about to show you is how you can tell whether that's possible. So if you could continue, John, that'd be great.
Sure, and that's a good point, Eamon, because if you see multiple weak kids, multiple weak results on page 1, that's a really good sign that you can break into it. Even 1 is a good sign, but multiples is a really, really strong sign that you're going to be able to get into that. So I load the domain details for 247solitaire.com. I'll click load extended data, and that's going to give me the other keywords that this site ranks for. Now look, the top keyword it ranks for is solitaire. Has over 6 million searches a month and a cost per click of over $1 per click. That is a very, very valuable keyword to rank for. And 247solitaire.com ranks number 7 for that. Now, because it ranks number 7 and is relatively very weak in comparison to some of the other sites, I figured I would go ahead and look at the search results for just solitaire. So I'll double click that. That'll load it into the keyword box. I'll switch back to that window and I'll analyze solitaire, and this blew me away. Look at who the weakest kid on the block for solitaire is. 6 million searches a month. Ranked number 4 with only 133 other sites linking to it.
That's a weak kid.
First of all, that would be amazing even if all 133 of those links were strong, but they're not. Let me show that to you. I'll click on the referring domains and I'll remember to switch. And I'm going to load the top 100. I will load the top 100 of those domains. Now, it's true, it's got a little over a dozen. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got 18 fairly strong to strong links. 18 out of 133. Everything under 20, remember, is pretty weak. But look, as you scroll down, it goes down to these weak until there's nothing, zero trust. Very, very weak links. So the vast majority of the links to this site that is ranked number 4 for a set of keywords that gets more than 6 million searches a month are weak links. You could do this. You could rank for this. And let me show you one other piece of detail. Go ahead.
While you're doing that, let me ask you something.
Sure.
Is it still the case that these really weak ones, the zeros that you had down there, may take some of the juice from the good ones, the ones with the higher trust? Because if you've got 200 zero trust domains pointing to you, and you've got 18 reasonable ones, your overall balance isn't really that brilliant, is it? I mean, is it still the case that you kind of dilute the good stuff with all the bad stuff? Because if you do, that means if I'm trying to replicate what solitairewebapp.com are doing, I just need not to bother with the bad guys. I just need to get some high quality links here and there.
Yeah, it's been my experience that it's really the high quality links that are responsible for the ranking. You know, not 100%, but you got to think, Google has no reason to trust the links that from sites that nobody else is linking to, and therefore they have no trust themselves. And so while Google might look at the keyword, like the text that people are using from those weaker sites to link to yours to kind of get an idea of what your site is about, where your rankings are primarily coming from, the vast majority of that juice, if you will, comes from the strong links, not the weak ones. So don't pass up a weak link if you can get one and it's not taking a lot of your time, but focus most of your time and effort on getting those strong ones, because that's what's going to get you ranked. And I've used this example a lot through the years. I've long since shut down the site, but when I first discovered the weakest kid on the block factor, after spending a decade studying the hundreds of different things that everybody said you had to do to rank in Google, when I came across it by accident, when I was actually just testing out our contact scraper tool, the first version of it, and reaching out to other people in order to write articles for them in order to get a link to my site. And I just accidentally realized that I could get a site on a certain kind of rose called a cabbage rose ranked on page 1, number 1, with, I had about 2 dozen or 3 dozen links, and I was outranking people with thousands of links from thousands of domains because, and I'll get into the reasons why when we talk about building links, but it really showed me that it had nothing to do with all those other things because I had been ignoring all those other things. Excuse me, I got a cough.
So what you're really saying there, I think, is work smarter, not harder. So all these things that people tell you to do may be a complete waste of your time.
Yes, and without being too, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Blasé about it? I don't know.
Well, no, I don't want to sound like I'm imputing bad motives to people who do this for a living, but it's in their best interest to make it appear more difficult than it is if what they do for a living is get sites to rank. And to be fair, in extremely competitive markets, the little things do give you an edge. But if there's already a weak site in the results, you know you don't need all those little edges. What you need are the links. And that's where Rank Sniper comes in, because it shows you what you really need to do to be able to rank. And it shows you with as much or as little detail as you want to see.
Yeah.
Okay, so once I discovered that, let me see, where was I here? I showed that these were weak links. Let me go back to the main window. Okay, sorry, my throat's a little scratchy this morning. All right, so I found this, which just blew me away. And then let's look at the details and see what else this site is ranking for. Load the extended data and look at all of these keywords, 1,500 keywords. This site is getting an estimated 600,000 visitors a month or more off the keywords that it ranks for, from 131 links, of which only a little over a dozen or 18 or whatever are actually solid links. So could you use 600,000 visitors to your website? Because you've got an opportunity to do that by just duplicating what this guy who runs solitairewebapp.com is doing. And look at the domain name. It's got dashes in it. And all the big SEO guys will tell you don't register domains with dashes in it. But here's one with dashes in it that's doing great. Why? Because what really matters are the links.
Well, you say that, John, but there's something else as well, isn't there, which we kind of touched on earlier when we said there might be 3 weak kids on the block on this example, and you said that's a really good sign. And it's a really good sign because why? What's the thing that's going on with Google, which is the important bit, that makes them put these weak kids in there for that particular search? There must be something going on with the Google search algorithm. In other words, yeah, what is it?
What's going on is Google is having a hard time finding sites that its algorithm feels are very related to the keywords being searched that are also very strong in terms of their backlinks. And I'll talk about this a little bit more, so I don't want to go into too much detail about it when we talk about how to build links. But just for now, just suffice it to say that if you see weak kids or weak sites in the search results, it's because Google isn't finding all of the pieces that it wants to find in the big sites with hundreds of thousands or thousands, and in some cases millions of referring domains. So it falls back on the weaker ones that do have what it's looking for. So when you get links to your site, it's important that you get the kind of links Google is looking for, and we'll talk about what that is when we get to that. But these weaker kids did do those things. They got the right kind of links, and so Google ranks them instead of ranking some of the big boys, or at least it ranks them in with the bigger sites because it's got more of what Google wants to see. All right. So that is the second strategy. Once you find a set of keywords that looks pretty good, and you look at that domain, the weakest domain, and you look at all of the keywords it's ranking for, and you find the best set of keywords, research using the keyword suggestion tool. Let me go back to the main. Using the keyword suggestion tool, this button right here, research other keywords in that related market and see if you can find other weak results there too, because very often what you'll find is that if there's a number of weak keywords in one market, there's going to be a whole lot. It's not just going to be those few. It's usually a sign of a weak market, not just, or a not very competitive market, not just one particular weak keyword set. But I've got one more. You sound like you're about to say something.
Well, I was going to say, so that kind of seems like a bonus there, because what you're saying is, if I find something that's weak in one area, it's likely to be weak in other areas, and that means I can do well in those areas as well. So the total sort of aggregate number of visitors I might receive can go way beyond the first number I'm seeing for the search volume. So you said that was 6 million something there, 6,120,000 for solitaire. But because it's a kind of a weak area, I might get ranked easily for other related keywords, maybe even keywords that I'm not targeting. And I know you have something to say about that.
Yeah, that's one of the great side effects of getting the right kinds of links, is Google will start to rank your site for other related keywords. So you're not just going to rank for the keywords you're targeting, you are very often going to rank for a lot of other related keywords that add up to even much greater search volume every month. That's always been our experience.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got one more strategy to share with you, and this is one that I actually updated Rank Sniper this morning, like Eamon said, to make it possible to do this, because while I was going through my notes for the webinar and putting the notes together, it occurred to me that there was one other really overlooked way to find great keywords, and that's by not just analyzing the first page of search results, but by looking farther back and analyzing those too. Now, I know you might be saying, but who cares about page 2? Page 2 doesn't get any traffic. I want to be on page 1. That's true, but when you analyze the other pages, page 2, page 3, and so on, it very often reveals weak sites that are ranking for other keywords on page 1 that you might be able to outrank. Now, I'll give you an example.
Bingo. That's absolutely brilliant. When John mentioned this, it was like, oh wow, this is when you see what he's going to do, it will become clear just how useful this is, because a keyword site on page 2, as John has said, may have multiple page 1 listings for other keywords. And how are you going to find them? Rank Sniper's going to tell you.
That's right. It would be very difficult to do this by hand, but Rank Sniper makes it really easy. So for example, let's look at the first page of results for fast weight loss. And you can imagine this is wildly competitive. Now it's only showing 7 results, because often Google will show results that aren't organic results, like YouTube videos, Wikipedia entries, news items, stuff like that. And Rank Sniper doesn't show those because you're not competing with them. Google's going to put those into the results regardless of what your links are like. It only shows the organic results. So this particular set of keywords only has 7 actual organic results. So that's what you see. The weakest site on page 1 of fast weight loss has 81,000 referring domains. So you immediately say, nope, I don't have the money or the time to fight with that, compete with that. I'm not going to try. But let's look at page 2. So to get to the page 2 analysis, I just changed the drop down to under page to 2 and then hit analyze. Look who's on page 2. Faster way to fat loss. A little over 200 referring domains in amongst domains with tens of thousands or even millions of links. This little site is ranking. So if I get the details of this site, I'll click on it. Let me switch my display here and load the other keywords that this site is ranking for. Notice this one. First of all, it's got a bunch of page 1, number 1 rankings. Faster way to fat loss.
Would you just do me a favor? Would you just sort the rank columns so you're getting all the ones together? Because you can sort on these so you can see. Look how many ones are there. Page 1, position 1.
And then page 1, 2, 3, yeah, a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Now, by default, it sorts by the amount of traffic that it's estimated the site's getting, because that's generally what you're most interested in, but you could sort by any of the columns. So faster way to fat loss, ranks number 1, search volume 12,000. Let's analyze that one. And I want to point something out about it. Do the analysis. Oh,
so you're doing page 2. Oh,
yeah, page 2. Let me go back to page 1. Analyze. Only 6 organic results, because anytime you're searching for weight loss stuff, Google throws a lot of other things onto the page, so you don't get as many organic results. But I will say this, if you go to Google and search for faster way to fat loss, this site just stands out above and beyond everything else, because Google puts a lot of site links underneath it, and directly underneath that, there's a bunch of questions. So the number 1 site, fasterwaytofatloss.com, just really stands out. But notice the cost per click, $5.46 per click. That is wildly valuable. 12,000 searches a month. Advertisers are paying around $5 for every visitor that they can get through the AdWords Google advertising program. And if an advertiser is willing to pay $5 per visitor, how much is the average visitor worth to the advertiser? Because they have to be worth more than they're willing to pay, which is why they're willing to pay that much so they can earn a profit. So think about the value of this set of keywords, even though this domain only has a few hundred referring domains. And so if you did the work, you could have a ranking in an extremely valuable, usually highly competitive market, the weight loss, fat loss market, with just a little bit of work. So don't always only look at page 1 and assume, wow, that's way too hard. I could never rank for that. Well, that may be true. You may not be able to get on page 1 for that set of keywords, but go to page 2 and maybe page 3 and see if there's any weak sites in there, and look at all the other keywords those weak sites are ranking for, because you can probably beat them to those keywords.
Can I ask you a question at this point, John? Because it's a really good one that we've got from Adrian.
Yeah.
I was about to answer him, but I'll let you answer. Is this just for Google in the US? Because Adrian's in the UK, the same as me.
This particular tool uses your localized search results. I'm glad you brought that up. So whatever Google would show you in a browser, that's what it's going to find. So if you're in the UK, it's going to search Google UK and show you those results. In order to get around that, let's say you're in the UK and you want to look at US results, then you need to get, and this is more complicated, so we won't get into a lot of detail. You can look up how to do this. You can get what's called a proxy IP address that makes Google think you're in another location, and you can set up your computer to use that proxy address whenever you're searching the web. In which case, Rank Sniper will use the same proxy that your computer uses, and Google will think that it is searching from wherever the location of your proxy is. So if say you're in the UK and you want to look up US search results, get a US proxy, configure it in your computer. It's very easy, just do a search on how to do that. And then Rank Sniper will then show results for the location of the proxy.
Proxies can be a few dollars a month, so they're very cheap if you
they're
happen
not
to need
expensive.
them. And it means that you can actually sit at home in the UK, if you live in the UK, and search on US, Canada, Germany, Australia, any of the world markets if you choose to. If you're wanting to target only your own home market, that's fine. It will do that for you kind of automatically. But you have access, if you wish to, via these things called proxies, to search any specific marketplace in the world if you want to. So it's a very, very versatile tool. You know, you're not limited to just Google US.
And that makes Rank Sniper very unique among SEO tools, because most SEO tools are already using their own proxies. And so the results that they return to you, I mean, they might be localized to who knows where, but Rank Sniper is always localized to wherever you are or wherever your proxy is. So if you get a proxy for a specific metropolitan area even, like say you're in Dallas, Texas, or New York, or LA, or one of the surrounding areas, and you want to do local search engine optimization for companies in that area, all you need is a proxy from that area, from that city, and then you can get search results from that city and analyze them right inside Rank Sniper, which makes it great for local SEO.
Just hang on. So what you've just said there means for the cost of a proxy, a few dollars, I can target a specific regional marketplace. I could set myself up as a search engine optimization expert. And using this tool, I could target, say, plumbers or dentists or whatever in a particular region and help them to rank for certain keywords. I'd have to do a little research, of course, but I could actually create a revenue stream by selling my services to other people using the information this gives me. I could even charge them to build the links and generate content for them and so on. So there's multiple streams of revenue possibility beyond just building my own websites.
Absolutely. And local, it's much easier to rank for local keywords than for national or international keywords because the competition is so much less. But you don't get paid less because while 1,000 searches a month to you as just a website owner may not be very valuable, but to someone who runs a local store, an extra couple of hundred people buying from them every month is huge. So the service to them is extremely valuable. Even if to you as just a website owner, you wouldn't go after that. That doesn't mean that to local businesses, it's not incredibly valuable. And that's why local SEO is so pricey. To get local search engine marketers to do work for local companies, they get paid a lot of money to do that. We have some friends who used to work for us who moved on and started their own businesses, and they do that, and they're very well paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, and he well, a couple of them are doing very well with it actually. But the funny thing is they're still using the tools, because one of the things they asked when they left was, "Can we use your tools still?" Which is kind of
Right.
that's fine, but you know,
Right.
so they're not. They know the tools work. We've got a couple of questions. Let me just see if there's anything that you need.
Okay, before any questions,
Please,
let me
go.
just recap the 3 strategies, because I know we went over a lot of information. The first strategy: check the domain details of the weakest result once you find a good set of keywords, and then look at its domain details and see if it's ranking for even better keywords than the one you found. So that's number 1. Strategy 2, get keyword suggestions using the suggestion tool in Rank Sniper for other keywords in the same market and see if there's potential there too, because often 1 or 2 keywords in a market reveals that the overall competition in the market is low. So look around inside that market using the suggestion tool. And the third strategy is, don't just analyze the first page of Google search results. Try analyzing the pages further back, especially for highly competitive keywords, because you might find a weak hit on page 2 or 3 that's ranking for all kinds of other keywords that aren't as competitive and that you can achieve.
It's a multifaceted approach to making money, isn't it? Because you can build your own websites and compete with the big boys, get onto the first page of Google. You can sell services for doing this, because let's face it, if you can rank your own website and get it onto page 1, you can show people you've done that, and you can charge them for that. I mean, people pay a fortune to have ranking. Some of the prices we've seen for search engine optimization experts, it's really high. I mean, you're talking serious money, because the value is tremendous. And some of the local services that you might be able to help, they charge a lot of money for their services. You know, dentists are not particularly cheap. Plastic surgeons are not particularly cheap. Plumbers are not cheap. I mean, come on. You know? And for them to get a new person ringing them to come and fix a leak or whatever, it's worth a lot of money.
Yep.
So what are we looking at here, John?
I am looking, there's something I wanted to show, because I want to talk about, I remember what it is. I want to talk about the 3 things that make links valuable before we started asking questions, because we're getting close to the hour and I want people to hear that.
Wow, that's quick. Yeah. Okay.
I want people to hear this, because this is important. It may be puzzling. Why is it that a site ranks with so few links compared to the huge number of links that the other sites have? And here's an example I want to show you. So I loaded the referring domains for that 247hearts.com. Now, first of all, I can tell you, because I've already looked them up, the Google links, they're no follow. They're not follow. They're just links from the Chrome web browser store. And Opera and Bing, same thing. These are not follow links. But look down at these. First of all, this guy's links show you that link networks still work, because it's obvious this guy owns all these other sites that he's using to link to his own site. All right, so link networks still work. Those sites have a high trust value, and that's why they're ranking. But notice that a lot of his links, the links to this domain, are related to card games. The other sites are related to either card games or to games. A lot of them are, a lot of different kinds of card games. That's really the secret sauce that makes it possible to rank with a few links in comparison to hundreds or thousands of links that other sites might have. If the links you're getting are from sites that have a decent trust value, and if those sites are in the same general market, like this guy's are pretty specific. It's like card games. This guy's clearly using link networks that are very related to card games specifically, but it doesn't have to be that exact. It could just be about games, entertainment, fun things to do, toys, anything that's in that same general industry that card games would be in. Getting links from those kinds of sites, from fairly trusted sites, that is what's going to get your site to rank. All right, so those are the first two things. Make sure the sites that you're getting links from are in the same general market, and try to get links from sites that have a trust value of at least 20. Now, if you can get higher than that, great, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be any higher. The third thing, and this is something that you've seen over and over again in the results that I've been showing you, having the keywords in your domain name matters a lot. And the reason why it matters isn't so much that Google looks at the keywords in your domain name and allows and says, oh, wow, this is called heartscardgame.com. It must be all about that. It must be really authoritative. No, that's not why it ranks. It ranks because Google lets you get links with your keywords that are in your domain in the text of the link without any penalty. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If your site name is heartscardgame.com, for instance, Google will never penalize you no matter how many links you have that have the phrase Hearts Card Game as the text that people use to create the link. You know how when you create a link on a web page, there's the words in the link like click here now or something like that. You can have the phrase Hearts Card Game in as many links as you want because your domain name is Hearts Card Game. But if your domain name was something that doesn't have any of those words in it at all, like playstorenow.com, if you got a ton of links with Hearts Card Game in the anchor text, Google would look at you suspiciously, would look at the site suspiciously, and might tag it with what's called an over-optimization penalty. But you will not be penalized in that way if your keywords are in your domain name, which is why you see so many of these weak kid on the block sites with all the keywords, or at least some of the keywords they're ranking for in their domain name. I hope that made sense, Eamon. You're better at explaining those kinds of things simpler than me.
Yeah, let me explain. So if you think of the website name as your name or a brand, doesn't it just make sense that anybody else on the web would refer to you by your name? So if you got eamonmotin.com, which I happen to have, anytime I have a link that says Eamon Motin, yeah, it's talking about me. What else would it be talking about? If it happened to say best looking guy on the planet Earth, then they might not believe me. But because it's my name, my brand, if you like, if you think about Microsoft, if you have a link to Microsoft, yeah, Microsoft.com, or they've got MSN.com, because it's a name that relates to the brand of the domain, because it is a brand really, and then it just makes sense that it's okay for you to call yourself by that name, as everybody else would. Nobody's going to call me Stephen Wallace, they're going to call me Eamon Motin, right? If they talk about me and point to me or link to me, they're going to say Eamon Motin or John Leger or, you know, our website Prosperative, because that's our name, our brand. And when you're talking about somebody, it's very normal to use their name. Actually, Josh has got a couple of problems with his audio, and he's made a couple of points that were really good. So if you've got a second, I just want to make these points.
Sure.
The thing about proxies that you mentioned, so that you can do local searches and so on, you can get some free proxies online. So you don't always have to pay if you wanted to sort of experiment a little bit. So it's a good way to try them out. Another thing is that the links that your competition has, you might be able to go to those same websites and get links as well. Some of them will sell links, some of them will allow you to put information in a directory. If there's I don't know, say 50 decent links for a competitor, you might be able to get a few of those completely free. But there is a strategy that Josh was going to talk about, which John probably will, or I can if he wants me to, which is about getting links using guest posting. And this is something that's really powerful. There is a special offer after you purchase Rank Sniper, and we'll talk about that in a moment, with a tool that helps you to get those links. John, do you want to talk about guest posting, or do you want me to?
Oh, no, you can go ahead, because I've talked quite a bit, and plus you're better at explaining those kinds of things than I am.
Okay, well, before I do that, let me just take the screen back for a second, because I want to show people the page where they can get hold of this. That's cool, that's coming on in a second. So guest posting is a way of getting links kind of for free, okay? So I'm just seeing if, wow, I'm getting some weird stuff on my GoToMeeting. There we go. If you offer another website free content, good quality content, there's a very good chance they will say yes, because it saves them time and effort. And if you ask them in the right way, they will give you a link back to your website. A free link to your website helps you to build that linking that gets you onto page one. Now, when we've done this in the past, what we found is that if we offer a good quality, unique article for a website owner, and offer to give them that exclusively, many of them will say yes simply because they're too busy and don't really have the energy to create new content every 5 minutes themselves. And if it's a related site to yours, so if you got weight loss, it might be an exercise site, it could be a recipe site. It has to be somewhat related, but you can find that with the special offer tool that we call Contact Scraper. If you offer them that content, it does two things. Number one was the link. It gives you a link back to your website, which we just mentioned. But the second thing it does, and John may come in on this point, it's really important. The second thing it will do is give you related content links. So in other words, because the main website that you've written this article for is related to your niche, that's going to count, because Google can see what their site is all about. They know that it's related to your site because they're going to look at both, and they can see that the link is one website talking about another website that's in the same niche. It has a higher quality because it's about the same topic. And when website, sorry, go on, please.
I do want to say something about that.
Please.
That makes perfectly logical sense. That's how things work in real life. When you want medical advice, you don't talk to the plumber. I mean, you can. And he might know what he's talking about, but you don't know that he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't have the credentials, whatever. You go to the doctor, right? And if the doctor says, you have this particular problem, I think you need to take this particular medicine, you trust that vote of confidence from the doctor because the doctor is in that profession. So it works the same way with links. If you have a site on, in my case, garden roses, and you're getting links from sites about solitaire, well, what does a guy who runs a solitaire site know about garden roses? There's no way for Google to know that that's a very quality link, that's a good vote of confidence for your website. But if you're getting links from other gardening sites to your site, then Google says, well, these other sites that are linking to my site or voting for my site, you could say, are all in the same general market. So I'm going to trust those links as being of higher quality. Those links show that John's site is actually knows what it's talking about when it comes to garden roses. And so Google values those related links much more highly than links that are not related. It just makes logical sense that it would do that.
Yeah, I mean, as you've said, if you're asking people for advice, you'd ask people who are, related to what you're talking about. And although you say you wouldn't ask the plumber for medical advice, if he'd had an operation, say a hip replacement, or that's the only thing I can think of, at the local hospital where I might have to go, I'd be interested in his experience. So, as long as the person you're talking to knows something about what you're interested in, that kind of linking from one thing to another makes a lot of sense. And Google picks up on that. There's a fancy name for it, semantically indexed content. And it's natural content that links to other content. And by linking out to other people, you're actually becoming more trustworthy. So Google can see that. If you don't link out to other websites, you're not necessarily thinking about the best experience for your site visitor. So getting this guest posting strategy going just requires you to reach out to other website owners in your niche or somewhat related to your niche. So the example we gave was, you know, if you've got a weight loss site, you might reach out to exercise people, you might reach out to recipe sites, and of course you might reach out to other weight loss sites, diet plans, that kind of a thing. You might even reach out to people who deal with stress reduction, because if you're very heavy, you may be suffering a lot of stress. You may want to deal with that to help you be able to cope with weight loss exercises and so on. So there's a number of related niches you could reach out to, which means it's possible to get links quicker than you think, easier than you think, and at no cost if you write the articles yourself. You can buy an article if you want to, but writing them yourself, you know, is the cheap way to start doing it, what you might call sweat equity. So if you don't have a lot of money to begin with, you can get these links for free. So that's an important point, I think.
Yeah,
let me just
Leslie asked, do we ask for a link back to your site or rely on reciprocity? What I always did was I would offer to write a high quality article for the site in exchange only for me to have a little about the author, a couple of sentences with one single link in it that points back to my site. And the great thing about having a site whose domain name is the keywords you want to rank for, or has the keywords you want to rank for in it, is that when you use the domain name as the link text, like in my case, I had a site called Cabbage Roses, cabbageroses.net or whatever, Google sees the link with cabbageroses.net and reads that as the keywords cabbage roses, which then helps you rank for the keywords that you're targeting. So definitely ask to include just one short paragraph about the author with one single link in it, and put the anchor text of your link as the keywords you want to rank for.
Don't worry about that, everybody. I'm going to give you some training on that later this week. I'll show you using Rank Sniper, and we will cover things like reaching out to people for backlinks. So for those of you who were asking, because you want to know how to do that, you'll get that in the training later this week. It may be Friday, maybe Saturday. I think it's more likely to be Saturday. It will be this week. You will get the replay as well if you can't join me live. So don't worry too much if you've never done that kind of thing before. I'll show you what you need to do. It's very simple, and creating an article isn't that much hard work, quite honestly, but it's incredibly powerful. And what it means is you can get these important links that will get you onto page 1 at no extra cost to you. You just have to write a few articles, and you don't even have to do dozens and dozens. Honestly, you know, if you're picking good quality keywords with real weak kids on the block, you might only need half a dozen or 10 or 12 to get you started, and then you get a kind of a snowball effect, which is very nice, because these free keywords that Google will rank you for, they're really good, because that's money in the bank for doing nothing. So I think what I need to do, John, is show people the price, don't I? Because I think that's a fair question, isn't it? What's the price? So it's a great tool. We've shown you that, and John's told you how you can use it. He's shown you all the information it gives you. But what's the price? Well, let me mention the two options for you. And there are sort of options 3 and 4. So it's going to be $97 annually for 10,000 credits, or $147 annually for 20,000 credits. But we do have a sort of an option 3 and 4. Right now, during launch, and launch ends at midnight on Friday, so that's midnight EST, you can get 10,000 credits for a $67 fee one time. You can get $20,000 credits for $97 one time. So that's the best value, of course, of those two. The opportunity to get this at the launch price is running out, because Friday, September the 20th at midnight, that's Eastern Standard, so New York time, the price increases. If you're somewhere else, if you're on the West Coast, you know, Pacific Coast, it's not midnight there, it's midnight in New York when the price increases, and it goes on to an annual subscription. So Friday at midnight, New York time, this goes from a one-time purchase to an annual subscription. How do you take advantage of this? It's very simple. You go to ranksniper.com. I'll show you that in a browser in a moment. You'll see a button that looks like this, click below to order now. You click on the orange button and then you make a choice. You're going to see a checkout page that looks a little bit like this. And you just choose your option. And the best option, of course, would be the 20,000, but you can choose the $10,000 credits. During the launch period, you can pay just $67 one time for the 10,000 credits. Best value, of course, is to go for the 20,000 credits, which is just $97. Remember, Friday, September 20th, midnight EST, New York time, this is going to an annual subscription. You need to be taking advantage of this right now. Let me just show you the web page that you go to. ranksniper.com. You don't have to put in the order, by the way. You can just put in ranksniper.com and it will take you to the page where you can see how much time you have left. You have the order now button here. You can see people keep ordering. And when you click on this, you will be given the option of how many credits you want to buy. The best value pre-selected is 20,000. But if you can't afford that and you want to go for 10, just check that box here and you'll be paying 67. But by far the better value is 20,000 credits, double credits for just $37 more. But I've got to keep emphasizing that time is not on your side, because on Friday at midnight Eastern Standard Time, this is going to an annual subscription and the price will be higher. You've really got to take advantage of this right now. So all it remains for me to do, I think, is to thank everybody. You've had some great questions. If you do have some lingering questions, please send them through. That's fine. We'll try to answer as many as we can. The credits I've been asked by Ian, those are the fixed number of credits you get when you purchase them. If you need to buy more credits, you can do that within the application itself. But for most people, 20,000 credits are going to last them a long, 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 long time. Now, the other thing is, everybody who purchases Rank Sniper, whether you've done it earlier or you're doing it now, you will be invited to some special training will be given later this week. That will be recorded, so if you can't make it live, don't worry, you will get that training as well. But if you can make it live, that'd be even better because you can ask questions. But remember, the time is running out, so you've got to take some action. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye, John?
I do. I saw a lot of people asking about the credits, and I want it to be clear just how much you can do with 20,000 credits. 20,000 credits. If nothing ever got cached and no other user ever searched for what you searched for, which is highly unlikely, you can analyze 2,000 different sets of keywords with 20,000 credits. But the reality is that the same domains are going to be showing up in the search results for different keywords, and the same links are going to be searched by different users. And so you're probably going to get somewhere up to twice as many searches as the 2,000. So my guesstimate, don't hold me to it, you're guaranteed it would be at least 2,000 different sets of keywords, but you're probably going to get closer to 3,000 or 4,000 out of that. And how long will it take you to analyze that many keywords? So the $97 for the 20,000 credits is going to last you a very, very long time. And if you run out because you use it all the time and you need to get more, you can from the license tab inside the application.
Yeah, which is, you know, if you need them, you can buy them, but just think what you can do with just a couple of keywords. John's shown you, you know, page one rankings, where you also get additional rankings for nothing, because once Google finds you, they're going to look at your other stuff and your other content and start giving you additional keyword rankings. You don't need to be chasing 10,000 keywords, because let's face it, apart from anything else, you probably don't have the time. What you need to do is target a few keywords that are easy to rank for. And what you'll find is that pays off way more than chasing 50,000 keywords that, you know, everybody else is chasing for. So really, this is absolutely what people say when they say work smarter, not harder. Don't do the hard work, do the smart work, and that way you will benefit. Where is the $97 option? Well, let me show you. When you go to Rank Sniper, you're going to see a single button here that says Order Now. When you click this, you then get your option of the 20,000 credit option, $97, or if you can't afford that, you can do the 10,000 credit option at $67. So the purchase page actually loads on the checkout to give you the two options at that point. On the main page, you just see a single button to take you to the checkout where you make your choice. Okay, I think that's about covered everything. John, anything finally you wanted to cover?
Nope, that's it. I just want to thank everybody for coming and being with us here today.
Thanks very much, everyone. See you next time. If you've got questions, send them through and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Bye now.